Well, hello everyone. This is Fadi, and I want to welcome you to probably something that I'm going to call a brand new video series. We're going to call it this time the Afghanistan Brief. However, I am going to make a series out of this to address current events, especially important events, as the one that we are dealing with just right now as we speak, which is the Afghanistan situation, the unfortunate, sudden withdrawal by the U.S. forces, and the takeover by the Taliban. Now, with me here to interact over this topic and also share from his own experience and to shed lights for you as our viewers and those who are going to be watching this, whether now, live, or later in the future, why such decision is going to be very crucial and possibly even will have a ramifications that can last for many years to come. Now, I'm not going to really spill the beans yet. We will discuss all of that with our dear brother here, Usama Dakdok. And of course, I can't think of anyone else that is better than Usama to address these topics. Former Muslim like myself, comes from the Middle East like myself, and we're both passionate about these topics, and he's heavily involved in issues related to national security, Sharia law, and terrorism, and the likes. With that in mind, brother, thank you so much for being here with us.
Well, thank you, Brother Fadi. It is my joy, it is my privilege to be with you to address this very important topic. And I hope that our audience who are listening to us right now realize that this is not a broadcast for sugarcoating the topic, or this is not a talk to cover with the political correctness. If it is have political correctness or sugarcoating, maybe we should not do it. And I don't believe neither you or I will do that. And if people want to listen to something makes them feel good and think there is hope and everything will be beautiful, maybe they go and watch CNN or Fox News. But here we will always tell the truth what it is, even if it will cost us this ministry or even our lives. Thank you so much for allowing me to be with you here today. Once again, I was born in Egypt, the Muslim country of Egypt, thank God, in a Christian home. So I can say most people who introduce me to their audience, they always think that I'm a Muslim guy. No, I'm a Christian, have all the knowledge.
I'm glad you clarified it, brother. That's great.
And thank God for allowing me to grow up in Egypt in the Muslim school, even all the way until college. I studied Sharia, Islamic law for a couple of years. Also, I'm thankful to the Lord that He allowed me to grow up in a Christian home. So, but you're not the only one who did that. Everybody does the same.
Oh, even Muslims, thank you for clarifying that. And of course, you growing up in an Islamic country, definitely you have more perspective than someone, for instance, who is born in a Christian house outside of an Islamic country and just knows about Islam versus live in Islam.
Sure. It's huge difference. Islam is not something you read in a book. It is, you have to live there, so you know exactly what is the future of your own country. If you have not lived in a Muslim country for a year or two, then you have no clue what we're talking about.
Yeah, but I hate to say this to you, Osama.
Yeah,
your ancestors were Christians and they were converted to Islam. So one way or another, brother, there is a connection.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. It is by the edge of the sword, Islam took over Egypt, especially in the first 100 years, where 4 million Christian men were slaughtered by the hand of the Muslims. Sadly, whenever at these days a Muslim man kill an Egyptian, a Coptic, a Christian guy, then the wives and the daughters belong to him. And that's exactly what we see happening in the last 1400 years. Nothing new under the sun. So,
right. So can I do, brother, a quick just overview of why this topic is important? You know,
sure.
Obviously everybody knows we're talking about Afghanistan. And of course, unless you're living under a rock, you know that we're talking about a decision that was made just maybe less than 2 weeks ago, if not even less than that, by the United States to do a sudden withdrawal from Afghanistan. Now, everybody knew there's going to be a strategic withdrawal. I mean, it's not like, any new decision here. Everybody knew that the withdrawal was take place. However, sadly, two things went wrong. First, we're given dates and deadlines to the enemy as to when we're going to withdraw. Second of all, the withdrawal is almost like somebody unplugged and walked away creating a state of chaos known as the Taliban, who took over this country, and everybody's surprised as how quickly they did so. A reminiscent of that has to do with 2014 when ISIS did exactly the same thing. Now, brother, why don't you shed some light about why is this withdrawal going to be damaging to our national security, not just in the US, but even in the West in general, possibly even in the Middle East?
Sure. Well, first of all, I do not think this was a foolish mistake, but that's a planned mistake, which means what happened years ago when Mr. Barack Hussein Obama left Iraq, it's exactly what Mr. Biden did today when he left Afghanistan. There's no difference. As a matter of fact, I believe deep in my heart that some of the members of Taliban are already members of Al-Qaeda, are already member of ISIS. They are one team, they are one people group. They are the Muslim believers, the Muslim jihadi who are here in this world to practice their Islam as best as Allah taught them in the Quran and Muhammad shows them in the Sunnah, in the Hadith, in his saying and in his action. So nothing is new. When people say, well, Mr. Biden make a mistake, and I say, Biden make a mistake by leaving in that order. Logic, first of all, he chose the wrong time of the year. He should wait until the winter. No, he knows this is a perfect time for Taliban to be in charge, to take over the country. As Mr. Obama knows that it was the perfect time. The way he did it is the same way Biden have done it the last 10 days, because this is strategically put together in action for one purpose, which is empowering the Muslims of the Middle East, creating chaos in the Middle East. Let me ask you a question, Brother Fadi. Do you think America, our military, have the power and have the might to literally bring the destruction of Taliban right now in the entire country of Pakistan and Afghanistan? Do we have the power to do it?
Absolutely, brother. In 2001, when President George Bush sent airplanes, they ran to the mountains. I mean, he didn't even have any invasion yet or any troops on the ground. Just by airplanes bombarding them, they ran to the mountains. Of course, we can obliterate them if we want to. That's not what we're asking for, of course, to obliterate people. But can we put things under control? Can we do a controlled, at least strategic withdrawal? Of course we can. But as you stated, I doubt that this is a foolish, irrational decision. It's impossible for our nation to have done something like that. But there has to be other reasons behind it.
When you tell your enemy what you're going to do, what you're going to do, and when you're going to do, that make you not a smart man, that make you a stupid man, or someone who already submit to the enemy and declare victory of his enemy and loss of your country. This is not new. Once again, what Clinton did years ago, when he has the chance to get rid of bin Laden in the country of Sudan, and he did not. He did the same thing. What Obama did when he was in war against ISIS, whom he called them ISIL, in the country of Iraq and Syria, it's exactly what Biden did like 10 days ago. It's the same thing. You don't tell your enemy when, where, and what you're about to do. That's exactly their foolishness for a purpose, is which they don't want to kill them. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to drop a bomb on that building in this hour. How many jihadi do you think are going to sit, enjoy the cup of tea or a cup of coffee in that building when they know the bomb is going to be dropped off? Brother, I talked to so many of our soldiers who serve in the country of Afghanistan and who serve in the country of Iraq. And they told me, Brother Usama, these are soldiers who care less anymore about whatever you want to call it. But anyway, they said, we sent airplanes with bombs on it, and the airplanes an hour later came back with a bomb still on it. They did not use the bomb, and they did not launch the attack, which they're supposed to do. Why? Because they did not announce that this bomb will be dropped off. They only drop bombs on places where the ISIS or the whatever jihad you are fighting, Al-Qaeda or others, they know that this will happen. And what is so amazing, we went to war in Afghanistan for one purpose. That was 20 years ago. Mr. Bush said, to kill bin Laden. Well, bin Laden was not in Afghanistan, but he actually was in Pakistan, which, by the way, the home base for the Taliban. The Taliban are not from Afghanistan. They are from Pakistan. But
exactly,
to make the long story short, we are not doing anything right. We're playing a game. Why? Because, okay, he was not there. He was in Pakistan. Did we go to war with Pakistan? No. Why? Because we're coward. We will not fight the Pakistan. And if you ask our politicians, they will tell you, oh, because Taliban have nuclear bomb. Oh, so we're paying jizya every year, the 2.5, 3 billion every year for the Pakistani because we're afraid of them because they have nuclear. God help us. So what do we do after bin Laden died? We're still in war. And if you ask our politician, you do it to you, oh, because we want to bring democracy to the country of Afghanistan. Excuse me, what? Like Mr. George W. Bush said, he want to bring democracy to Iraq. Like Mr. Obama said, he want to bring democracy to this country and this country. With all respect, when you tell me you want to bring democracy to a Muslim country, that means you are A, very foolish of Islam, or B, very stupid. Because democracy and Islam cannot coexist. Let me read to you something we learned from Sharia. It says, any system of man-made law, you know what we're talking about here? Any system of man-made law? We're talking about US democracy. Any system of man-made law is considered illicit under Islamic law, for whose adherence Allah already has provided the only law permitted. Sharia, Islamic law, and Western-style democracy can never coexist in harmony. You know where we learned that from? We learned that from the book. It's called The Reliance of the Traveler. A book has been put in English, 1,200 pages, Arabic, English, side by side. Sadly, our politicians and our lawmakers did not have the chance to read it. Had they read that book, they would have saved themselves the last 30 years any attempt, any trial, any hope to bring democracy into any Muslim country of the world. Brother Fadi, you and I know that. We got 56, 57 Muslim countries. Not one of them in the last 1,400 years practiced democracy one day. Name me a country in the Muslim world who allow or will practice democracy in the near future.
Exactly, brother. And this is really what bothers me. We are talking about the West, very sophisticated nations, Europe, US, North America, even in South America. Why are they so oblivious or turning the other way when it comes to the issue of comparing Sharia application to democracy? That's number one. Number two, how can we be arrogant to think that we can impose our own worldview into someone else's worldview, in this case, Islamic countries like Afghanistan, when we know fully well that to have a strategic defeat of terrorism does not mean a defeat of the fundamental ideology itself?
Brother Fadi, I don't think, and I hate to say that the American people or the people in the West in general have an idea where we can tie Al-Qaeda or ISIS or Fatah or Hamas or Taliban or Boko Haram or Ikhwan, any of these jihad organizations with Islam. It's been 10 days. We've been talking in America about the Taliban and Afghanistan and Pakistan and Iran, but not yet. I have not yet, besides maybe me and people like yourself, who tie Taliban to Islam. So with the political correctness, we don't want to mention anything that Taliban is Islam or ISIS is Islam or any other jihad organization is Islam. We do not know hardly anything about Sharia or the concept of Sharia. I mean, think with me. When we talk about Sharia, people think, oh, this is some laws concerning some sophisticated, complicated issues where Muslim practice in some Muslim country, not anywhere around the world. But in reality, when we have a simple understanding to Sharia, we'll find out that Sharia guides all aspects of Muslims' life: political, daily food, clothing, sport, family, religious, obligation, financial dealing, punishment, military, and importantly, how to deal with non-Muslims, infidels like you and myself. This is Sharia. And I don't think the American people realize that there's nothing in the Muslim man or woman life to do in any of their daily life except must be covered by Sharia. But we do not know what Sharia is. We do not know what Muslims believe because we have never studied the Quran or the saying of Muhammad in the Hadith. And these are the two books or the two sources from where Muslim brings the Sharia. Allah's word, Muhammad's words. When you read the Quran, when you read Muhammad saying, you see Allah said, do this and don't do that. Here is the punishment and here is the reward if you obey these words, these commands, and here is the blessing and the curse if you do not, if you obey it or if you don't obey it. This is Islam. Muslims cannot live a day in their life. I always say it that way, Brother Fadi. Before a man make love to his wife to produce a baby, he will say a Muslim prayer, asking Allah to bless that seed and make it a healthy, blah, 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 boy or girl. Okay? Now, when that baby grow up and get old and die, and they bury him or her in the dirt, after they cover them with dirt, they still have another prayer after the burial. And everything about Muslim man or woman's life before birth, after death is covered by Sharia. Do American people understand that?
And that's the thing that saddens me. You know, brother, I've been at it since 2002, trying to educate the West on the danger of Islam. They don't hear me talking about Islam. They hear me talking about Muslims. They think I'm attacking Muslims. They think I'm critiquing Muslims. And I say, Muslims are victims of Islam. Which part of this is not clear? Muslims are forced to follow what Islam teaches, like you stated. A Muslim doesn't feel fully appreciated by the community unless they start practicing Sharia. This is why you have Muslims moving, migrating to other places, and yet they start all over again, having their own Sharia implemented, like, you know, that the Sharia family courts in the UK. There is more than 80 of them already. And then the people in the UK wonder, why are Muslim women not having rights in these Sharia courts? Well, they're getting their Islamic rights. That's what they're dealing with.
And by the way, that's what is right now, Taliban is promising the world that Muslim women, that women in Afghanistan will have their rights. Which rights? Islamic rights, which means no right whatsoever, because in reality, not only Muslim women in Islam do not have rights, but not even Muslim men. We do not know freedom in Islam. We do not know freedom of speech or freedom of religion or freedom of anything. And if you remove freedom from a society, there's nothing left in that society. Talking about if you separating what we say about Muslims and about Islam, I lived that myself 30 years ago when I came to America. I was living in Florida. And every time I open my mouth and I say, Islam this, Islam that, Islam this, Islam that. So some of my friends, they literally you felt sorry for me, and because I was frustrated. I could not get a sentence out unless Americans shut me down. So and they said, well, Brother Usama, if you don't have anything nice to say about the Muslim people, then you need to shut up. I said, wait a minute. I'm not talking about the Muslim people. I'm talking about the ideology of Islam. I'm talking about the words of Allah in the Quran. I'm talking about the saying of Muhammad in the Hadith. I'm talking about the imprisonment which every Muslim man and woman are living in. As you said, Brother Fadi, every Muslim who live in the Muslim world or who live under authority of other Muslims anywhere in the earth, they are victims of Islam. But sadly, I don't think the American people understood what I'm trying to share with them. And, you know, for the last 30 years, I'm still doing the same thing, and people cannot separate Islam from the Muslims. There are some Muslim people I know personally who are so wonderful, so loving, so peaceful, so kind. You would love to have them as neighbors. They would be better to you than some of your relatives, for heaven's sake. But in reality, they're good and kind and nice because simply they do not know Islam or because they do not practice Islam yet. And that is the problem. The problem is in Islam.
That is right. That's absolutely correct. I'm going to read something, and I'm going to point out to the fact that it seems to me that we do not learn lessons from the past. So in 2017, President George Bush is already giving a speech about the withdrawal from Iraq. Look what he says. I'm going to read it loudly. Here's what he says. He says, if we were to be driven out of Iraq, meaning like a sudden, basically withdrawal or being forced out suddenly, he's saying extremists of all strains would be emboldened. Al-Qaeda could gain new recruits and new sanctuaries. Iran would benefit from the chaos and would be encouraged in its efforts to gain nuclear weapons and dominate the region. Extremists could control a key part of the global energy supply. Iraq could face a humanitarian nightmare. Democracy movements would be violently reversed. We would leave our children to face a far more dangerous world. And as we saw on September the 11th, 2001, those dangers can reach our cities and kill our people. Please help me, brother. Isn't this exactly what happened this time too?
Well, I love the statement of the wise man in the book of Proverbs, Solomon. He said, nothing new under the sun. As a matter of fact, have we learned from what happened in the early days of Islam? When Muhammad was weak in Mecca, he was a loving and peaceful guy. When he moved to Medina and had 10,000 men, fighter, jihadi, he became so savage. And this is the teaching of Allah in the Quran. I'm going to quote you a verse to support what Mr. Bush said and to expose what Muhammad and Muslims have been doing in the last 1400 years, exactly what is happening right now in Afghanistan by the Taliban Muslim believer member. Quran chapter 47:35, and I'm reading from my own translation here, the Generous Quran, accurate English translation, not sugar-coated one, and it says, so do not be weak and do not call for peace when you have the upper hand. Listen again. So do not be weak and do not call for peace when you have the upper hand. How did we win the war in Iraq during the days of Bush? We did not actually win the war.
I was going to say, did we really win a war? I mean, I don't know.
We did not win a war. We just sent thousands and thousands and thousands of American soldiers. I mean, we have war for bunch of years and we lost what, 4,600 American soldiers, and the Al-Qaeda Mujahideen were so happy. They don't mind to lose 10,000 to kill 5 Americans. 5 Americans to them is a victory. So as long as we were in an equal amount of soldiers, or do not have the upper hand, meaning more people, more weapons, they don't mind to lose as many. They got plenty of children and grandchildren to join in the near future. But when Mr. Bush sent the insurgent, which is huge number of soldiers, thousands over thousands, in short time, Al-Qaeda figured out, Mr. Osama bin Laden figured out, hey, we got a verse in the Quran, do not be weak and do not call for peace when you have the upper hand. We no longer have the upper hand. These American infidels soldiers are in huge number. We cannot compete with them. They're going to crush us. So what we're going to do now, bin Laden sent advice to all the jihadi, find a nearest Walmart. Go to Walmart, buy yourself shaving cream, and buy blades, and buy a couple shirts made in China in Walmart, and wear the normal shirt, shave your beard, put perfume, look like a modern Muslim, and we say, we surrender, we submit. When Muslims surrender or submit by shaving their beard and change their clothes and pretend to be what they're not, Muslim jihadi, it's called temporary submission, not ever. If you look at all the peace agreement which made by Muhammad in the early days and throughout the last 1400 years by Muslims, it's always limited by some time. Even when Mr. Obama made a deal with Iran not to make nuclear bomb, he gives them 152 billion, and he said the agreement is for 10 years. Excuse me, what is 10 years? What's going to happen in the 11th year? Oh, they will make the nuclear bomb. Wow, that was a very smart of Obama to give them all these billions and make a deal for 10 years. Muhammad used the 10 years with the infidels of Quraysh. But when he did have the upper hand, he went back to Mecca with 10,000 men who loved death more than you and I will ever love life, and they went and they took over the city, even though they still have 7-8 years to fulfill their deal, the 10 years. So it is reality, brother Fadi. Muslims do not call for peace. Muslims do not do the things which we in the West would desire for them to do, unless if they do not have the upper hand. Upper hand in Islam means more people, more weapon. And boy, oh boy, Mr. Obama knows exactly what Bush said, which you just read. It's a fact. All the intelligence in Obama's days understand the speech of Mr. Bush. You and I can understand it. We're not even in the military level of strategic plans and stuff, but we can figure out. You leave Iraq, you're going to create a void. Then the Al-Qaeda is going to grow up, and Muslim will grow up in huge numbers. They will have the upper hand, and we're going to have a chaos. And what Obama did, he did exactly the opposite of what Mr. George W. Bush asked him to do, by not only leaving Iraq quick, but he left. Listen carefully. He left all the tanks, all the airplanes, all the weapons, which ISIS will need for the future plan to grow, to be in power. And he went in war for 3 or 4 years with ISIS. And during these years, as I said earlier, they would drop bombs on empty buildings, which we remodeled with our tax money, because that's part of our invasion. We invade a country, not to take any spoil of war out of it, and we bomb some building, and we remodeled these buildings with air conditioned and high-class finish. Then Al-Qaeda grew and became ISIS, and ISIS grew to be not only in Iraq and Syria, but in 28 countries. And behold, what happened 10 days ago? Same thing, same thing. We give them weapon worth $83 billion weapon. I have no idea what Taliban is going to use it or going to sell it to some other countries. They maybe sell it to Iran or make deal with other country and give it to them. But the worst of that, at least when we left Iraq, we did not have thousands and thousands of Americans there. Today, we left the country of Afghanistan, the country of Afghanistan, and we left, who knows? Because nobody in America yet can give me the right number. How many Americans did we left behind to the Taliban? And if you want to know, what's the future of these Americans, trust me, I can give it to you right now. We will give the Taliban 200 billion, 300 billion, maybe $500 billion, that's 500 billion, just to say, please give us our people back. Ransom is not a new concept.
And I think, Usama, I really think it's a tactical move that we know they are going to hold Americans hostage, and we're going to play the card that the American people are going to feel sympathetic to try to release these hostages. So we end up giving money to the Taliban in the name of releasing the hostages, when I feel like it's done to empower the Taliban. Just like we send billions to Iran to empower Iran. I mean, to be honest with you, brother, it's, I don't know what to call this, but it's a policy of stupidity, actually. It's absolutely a policy that doesn't care about the future generation in our nation, because you have people who are thinking just, that their lifespan doesn't extend beyond their nose. That's what they see. They do not see tomorrow. They do not see next year. They do not see 10 years from now. And that's why they make these kind of decisions, because they don't care for our children or grandchildren or great-grandchildren.
And there is no consequence either. I mean, if you look at all the decision which Mr. Barack Hussein Obama did for the good of the Muslim Brotherhood of Egypt, Al-Qaeda in Iraq and in Syria, which he created ISIS from them, the Jihadi of Libya, and they were hoping, sadly, by the help of some of the so-called Republican, McCain and others, they were trying to do the same thing in Syria. And these people, liberal Democrat, not only care less about America, they put America last, but they want to empower the Muslims. I mean, think about it. In all these years, whenever there is trouble in any of these Muslim countries, and I want to talk about it concerning the Muslims of Afghanistan, we quick as a government in America to rush to bring Muslims into America as refugees. And they call them refugees. I have no idea. Why do you call the Muslims whom you bring from Somalia as refugees, or from Kenya as refugees, or from Syria as refugees? Who call these Muslim refugees? Oh, Brother Usama, they have hardship. The Muslims are fighting them. Oh, well, Muslims fighting Muslims. And we as Americans are going to be the compassionate team to bring these Muslims to America as refugees. You know that? If you have a war between Iraq and Iran, we're going to bring hundreds of thousands of Muslim Iraqi and hundreds of thousands of Muslim Irani to America as refugees, because there is a good reason that these people are in hardship. Excuse me. If you're going to do that, you need to prepare to bring to America half of the Muslims, Because believe it or not, in the near future, there will be killing and jihad and war in every Muslim country. We need to bring them from Yemen. We need to bring them from Sudan. We need to bring them from Nigeria. We need to bring them from Syria and Iraq and every Muslim country. Right now, we should bring 5 million from Afghanistan. The people there are in crisis. And there is no way under the blue sky you can tell me that the American people, the politicians who are so stupid, as we already shared and proved tonight from our talk so far, that they will know how to vet a Muslims to come to America. How are you going to vet the Muslims coming to America? To know if they're going to be jihadi or is it going to be the good Muslim?
Yeah, and of course, just mark my words, brother, that there'll be some Taliban that will infiltrate some of these Afghani refugees.
Absolutely.
And, you know, the return of ISIS is imminent. I mean, there is no escape from that. I don't care what anybody says. The return of ISIS. Oh, I thought about the open border also. Wow, what an open invitation, you know, to them to come in this time easily. I mean,
I am shocked to my bones that for the last 7 months, we got almost 2 million people walking to this country from the southern border. And we know they're not coming from Mexico and Brazil and Venezuela. No. These people are coming from 150 plus country around the world. Just last week, we stopped 2 more Yemeni jihadi on the Mexican border. There is no such a thing. We stopped them. I guarantee you, Brother Fadi, I guarantee you that some of the Muslim members of Taliban have been in this country for the last 7 months. They are much smarter than we can imagine. That they think, oh, the open border, the whole world talking about the open border. And the Taliban say, we're not going to go there right now because maybe they catch us on the border. These people care less even if we catch them. They love death, once again, more than we love love. What are you going to do to them? You're going to arrest them on the border, find out they're jihadi. You're going to put them in Gitmo prison. And in Gitmo prison, they're going to have the Sharia halal food, 3 meals during the night in the months of Ramadan. And you're going to give them the Quran, and you're going to build them a field to play soccer and exercise. For heaven's sake, our prisons in America is much greater place to live than any home in the Muslim country in Afghanistan or in Pakistan. Do the American people understand that?
Absolutely. And you know, I've been knocking on doors, and I've been drumming everywhere and saying we need to focus our ministry efforts, our media efforts to Europe and to the US, because the Islamic threat is right here. And you know what everybody tells me? Oh, no, we just focus on the Middle East right now. Well, I'll tell you what, there are Muslims in the Middle East that are leaving Islam, actually. I mean,
Sure.
the Middle East is becoming safer, you know, if you ask me.
Yeah. Well, and here is another problem, Brother Fed, and we have to talk about that. Who is bringing these refugees to America? And are they really doing Christian ministry? A good 17 years ago, 18 years ago, I have a big argument with some Christian brother from Lebanon in the country, in the state of North Carolina. And he said, Usama, you're wrong. We need to bring these Muslims to America so we can share the gospel with them. And they understand how hard it is to be in the Muslim world. And they understand the real picture of Islam. And when they come to America and we share the love of Jesus with them, we lead them to Christ. Then, a few months later, I was in Rochester, Minnesota. And there, I have to argue with another Baptist preacher, that's my church, my denomination, who tell me that I'm dead wrong when I stand up in front of the audience there, as I spoke in many meetings, and say we should not have Muslim Somali refugees. And I said, what is you trying to do here? Well, we need to share the gospel with them. And I said it, Brother Fadi, listen carefully, because don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I love the Muslim people. I want to share the gospel in each and every one of them. As a matter of fact, on the 27, 28, 29, I'm going to be in St. Cloud, Minnesota, coming up this week to share the gospel in the streets with the Muslim Somali. So it's not just talk. You need to put your words where your action is. So I said, I do not have a problem to love the Muslim people, but who are these churches who are bringing these Muslim refugees to America? They are the gay and lesbian churches. Excuse me, what? Yes, gay and lesbian churches. They are the most liberal churches who do not know Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior and care less about telling people about Jesus. Why they're bringing Muslims to America as refugees? All because they make between $1,000 to $5,000 for every Muslim refugee they resettle in Minnesota. Wow. Do they share the gospel with them? No, they don't. Why? Because in the contract which these liberal churches have with the government under Barack Hussein Obama, that they will bring these Muslims to America, but they cannot share the gospel with them because that's conflict of interest. You're going to bring them as refugees. You cannot force them or talk to them about Jesus. Wow. Then I asked that preacher, the Baptist preacher, how many Muslims live in your community? He literally said around 8,000. 8,000 in Rochester, Minnesota. There's more now. That was years ago. And I said, how long have you been ministering to them? He said, well, 10 years or so. Good, good. I said, what do you do exactly to minister to them? He said, well, we teach them English as second language. We give them food. We give them clothes. We give them furniture, used furniture. We cannot afford to give them new furniture. And we share the love of Jesus. How you share the love? Well, through these things. I said, how many of these people got saved and became a member in your church? And he was quiet. I said, sir, maybe you did not understand my question. My English is not that good. So I'm going to repeat my question again, slowly. How many of these Muslims, the 8,000, whom you're ministering to by gives them food and drink and clothes and everything else, in the last 10 years, how many of them became a member in your church, got saved and got baptized and joined the church, and every once in a while on Sunday come with his family to hear the teaching and your teaching and preaching? And he was quiet again. I said, you mean the answer is 0? He said, numbers means nothing. I said, well, let me give you another number. Imagine with me that these 8,000 become 16,000. Do you think you physically can go and knock at their doors and tell them, I'm here to share the gospel with them? They will arrest you and they will burn your church. Numbers make a big difference. If you do not know how to share the gospel with the 8,000 which you have today, the future, there's 0 chance in the future that you may share the gospel with any of them. I said, you do not. Have you ever read the Quran? His answer was no. Do you know anything about Islam? He said, well, I know about Islam. I said, no, you know nothing. Because if you have not studied the Quran, you do not know Islam. And if you don't know Islam, how can you share the gospel with Muslim people whom you do not even know? I said to him, I have a presentation. It's called How to Witness to Muslims. I would love to come and teach it to you and to your people in the church. And guess what? That was 10 years ago. He have not called me yet to share with them how to share the gospel with Muslim people. These people, sadly, care less about the eternity of the Muslim people. They are just want to show compassion, love by bringing Muslims to America, bringing Muslims to America. Have we learned anything from what's happening right now in Europe, brother and Fadi? Do we know that the number of Muslim men who are raping children in England, literally, listen to this, 83% of the little girls who've been raped in England, they were raped by less than 2% of Muslim Pakistani and Bangladeshi. Are you listening to me? This is not my word. This is the word of Mr. Jamal, Majid. And he is the one, a Muslim man from England, who told us these facts. And it is record. It is history. It is in the court system of England. Majid Nawaz assured us that the number of Muslim men, 2%, Pakistani and Bangladeshi, like himself, his own words, and I have the video, I can play it for people to watch it, they are responsible for 84% of child rape. That's why today, Al-Fadi, my brother, many of the French and the British and the Swedish and the German are in a corner. They're stuck with a problem. If they will not allow more Afghani refugees, they're anti-Muslims, they are racist, they are Islamophobic people, and on and on and on. But in the same, and they're going to lose the respect of the international world. But if they bring him in, they're going to have a bigger problem than what they have. And the sad thing, we're here in America, have no clue what come with these Muslim refugees to America. How are they going to change America forever? And we're going to pay for it in the long run very severely.
Amen. So, brother, what shall we do in this situation? I mean, we know that the withdrawal took place. There is no coming back. It's quite obvious that the U.S. has no interest whatsoever to contain the situation. You have the British and the French really stepping up to the plate, leading from the front, not from behind, and taking care of at least their citizens. And, you know, they're trying to also help some Americans if they can. But at the end of the day, what do you think is going to happen here?
I think America will go in this slope down, down, down. More Muslims will come to America. I guarantee you, if Biden continued to be the president in the next 3 years, we'll have 15, 20 million Muslims in America. And then you're going to get somebody else liberal, and the number continue to grow. They're going to destroy, the Democrats, the liberals, are going to destroy this country morally, economically, and God help us for the future. And Muslims will continue to grow up in America as they already growing in Europe and in Canada and Australia and everywhere else. And when Muslims will have the upper hand, then they will show the real picture of Islam to the West. And then it will be too late. My heart desire is this, and I love Hosea 4:6. You will never have an interview with me anywhere unless I quote that verse, because it is the foundation of the destruction of America. Listen to this. It is the foundation for the destruction of America. How can it be a foundation destruction? If we do not learn it, America will be destroyed. Hosea 4:6, the scripture said, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. This is as simple as this. I've been since I translated the Quran, 14 years ago, 13, 14 years ago, I said to the American people, read the Quran. The answer in the book. Don't take my word for it. It's in the book. Islam is not what I say or Al-Fadi say or anybody else says. Islam is here, the word of Allah. Sharia, it is the word of Allah and the command of Muhammad in the Quran. I even make it even simpler. I said, hey, that's a 400 and how many pages here? 400 pages and 10, 410. That's too much to read. How about say, let's make it a smaller booklet, a very smaller booklet. The violent truths about Islam. Muslims continually claim that Islam is a loving and a peaceful religion. They also insist that violence is committed by only a few radicals who misunderstand the teaching of Muhammad, which are found in the Quran and in the Hadith. But is this actually true? This booklet I hold in my hand, it would take anyone less than 25, 30 minutes to read 24 pages. This booklet examines such claim and will reveal the truth about the violent and the true nature of Islam. My friends, if you just read that booklet, I know for $5 you can get 3 copies, and if you order a whole box, we send it. We pay the shipping. We send it for the cost. It cost me $3 to send this, $2.79 to send 3 of this booklet. That's why people pay $5. Okay, I want every American not to have this small booklet, but to memorize it. The difference between you and me and Brother Al-Fadi here is that we understand the Quran. We know what's in the Quran. So if you just learn 30, 40 verses from the Quran and 25, whatever number of hadiths I have in this booklet, the words of Muhammad, the teaching of Muhammad, the saying of Muhammad, you will understand what in the world. You will literally scratch your head and you say, what in the world are we doing in America to bring Muslims to America, refugee or not? And what is so amazing, Brother Al-Fadi, is that we bring Muslims from all these Muslim countries as refugees, but we don't bother to bring Christians from the same countries to America as refugees. Does this make any sense to you? Do you think our government really is that stupid that they could not figure out Christian refugees from Sudan or from Somalia or from Syria or from Afghanistan? No, we're going to bring the Muslim refugees, but we're going to leave the Christians there to be really, really persecuted and slaughtered by the hand of some of the Muslim people whom we bring their families and the members of their clubs to America to do the same here in the near future.
It is indeed unfortunate, and of course you and I understand the danger behind what's going on, but you know, at the end of the day, unfortunately, it's obviously out of our control. All we can do is trust in the Lord and continue to preach the gospel of love and the gospel of peace. And you know, one way or another, I'm hoping that the church will step up to the plate and reach out to these Muslims who are around us. Sadly, even when they're around us, we still have people who hesitate to reach out to them, either out of fear, or sometimes they say, I do not know how to do it. Or the most important thing is, like you said, when they start growing in numbers and have their communities, it becomes very hard to infiltrate within these communities.
I love what you said, Brother Fad, here, loving the Muslim people. One of the important signs carried by Muslims who protest me, and I love that sign, in everywhere I go when I speak in Minnesota or North Dakota, where there is a large number of Muslim population, it is when a lady carry a sign and the sign says, love your neighbor. In one of the meeting I spoke in Walmart, I believe, Minnesota, and that young lady carries a sign, and she was walking inside the school with it, and I stopped her a couple, 3 times, say, ma'am, put your sign down, put your sign of protest down. You're not supposed to protest in the school building. It is illegal. If you don't put it down, I will remove you. And we called the police, and she put the sign down. If she did not put it down, we'll remove her. But she said, well, it's in the Bible. It's in the Bible. I said, what is in the Bible? She said, what is written in my sign? And I said, will you read to me what is written in your sign so the whole people in the school will understand what you're doing? She said, love your neighbor. I said, good. Can you finish the verse? She said, that's what it is. I said, no, read the rest of the verse. What is love your neighbor? And she said, well, I don't know. I said, well, where do you find this verse? She knows the location. I said, open your Bible, open a Bible. She said, she has the Bible in her hand. It's here in the Bible. I said, open the Bible and read the verse for me. Love your neighbor as yourself. Wow, what a huge difference when you say love your neighbor or love your neighbor as yourself. And I said, the true understanding of that verse is, I love you as I love myself. As a believer in Christ, I want you to be a believer in Christ. As a man, sinful man, which was forgiven because of Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection, and I believe in that, I need to obey his command, share the gospel with you, lead you to Christ, that you be in the same eternity where I'm going to spend eternity in heaven. I said, these people you stand outside with, Lutheran and some Baptists and all the liberal churches, gay and lesbian churches outside, these people do not love you as they love themselves. Unless they already hate themselves and they know they're going to go to eternity in hell and they care less about sharing the truth of the gospel with you. I said, I guarantee you, none of the people outside tell you the true gospel message. None of them try to lead you to Christ, but they're standing with you to protest me because they hate me and they hate the message which I'm trying to share with you. I said, I love you as my neighbor, and I love you as I love myself. That's why I want to see you become a Christian. And you will never become a Christian until you leave the savage cult of Islam. And those people who stand outside with you to protest me care less about knowing Islam or loving you for Jesus. They love you for hell. And that is the huge difference between us, born-again Christian, loving the Muslims, to reach out to them with the gospel of Jesus Christ, to lead them to eternity in heaven, and the liberals of America, of all churches now, that there's not one denomination in America who do not have plenty of liberals. Catholic, Baptist, Presbyterian, Lutheran, they all love to bring Muslim refugees to America, but they don't care about leading one Muslim to Christ.
It is indeed unfortunate, brother. And the Lord is definitely opening doors of opportunities, whether overseas or right here in our backyard. Acts 17, 26 and 27 is a clear indication of that the
Amen.
Lord basically have allotted the times and the boundaries of their dwelling places so that they may seek him in hope that may reach out to him and find him. And this is really our hope, that we would do ministry right here in our backyard. The mission field is definitely plentiful. We just need to pray for more workers right here in our backyard to reach out to the Muslims. What a great opportunity that they are coming here, regardless of the reason behind it. Now they have the freedom to be able to interact with you. We have the freedom to share the gospel freely with them. And of course, we have to trust that the Holy Spirit will do the rest. Brother, what's next for you? Are you doing any speeches or teachings on topics like this?
Absolutely. Lord's willing, next week, as I said, actually this week, we're going to be in St. Cloud for 3 days to minister to the Muslim directly. After that, I'm speaking in some churches in Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas. And then we're going to be in Colorado for some conference, which I hope and I pray that plenty of people like yourself will join us in Colorado, because we need to have some unity among the workers in that field. And we're looking forward to new places to go and speak. So if somebody would like to have me, I'm one call away from coming to speak. But I do not know how much time do we have tonight, Brother Fadi, because we just started. Do we have another couple hours? How much time do we have?
We probably have another 10 minutes, give or take.
Well, one of the things which really is make me anxious in my heart is to see the women and the treatment of women in Afghanistan by the Taliban, or the women in the Muslim world by Muslim believers. And I say Muslim world, I'm talking about America. The sad thing is the treatment, and that's a very important topic, which will take another program by itself. But I love it. As I said earlier, the Taliban is promising the international world that they will give the women and the girls their rights, and they leave it there. And nobody is bothers them. What do you mean their rights? Is it Sharia rights? Is it Islamic rights? Because if it is, they have zero rights. Because as we know, Brother Fadi, that women do not have any rights in Islam. If a woman cannot choose the husband, if a woman cannot choose what to eat, what to drink, what to dress, how to dress, if the woman cannot choose to be educated or not, if a woman cannot choose to work or not, if the woman cannot choose her religion, what if I am a Muslim woman right now and I chose to become a Christian? I'm going to leave Islam, I'm going to apostate like Yusuf did, and I'm going to leave Islam and I'm going to become a Christian. Well, when the West here, Taliban said, we're going to give them the right. What is the punishment for women who become a Christian, a Muslim lady? She's going to take the hijab off and she's going to be moderate. She's going to be dressed in normal clothes. I'm not saying to become naked like some wacko European and Americans do. I'm talking about dress properly right, biblically right, and she become a Christian. Will they give her a chance to live? Let's look at one law, just quick, because we don't have time to cover all these. We need to talk about them for weeks.
We'll bring you back. We'll bring you back in another week or two to dig deeper, or maybe after your event.
Absolutely, absolutely. It will be my honor. Leaving Islam is the ugliest form of unbelief and the worst. Says who that? This is Usama Dakdok, or written by Al-Fadi. No, that is the same book we talk about, the book of Sharia, the Reliance of the Traveler, on 08.0. So we are giving the reference here. It says in 08.1, when a person who has reached puberty and is sane, he's not crazy, he does not, she or he did not lose their mind, and is sane, voluntarily apostate from Islam, he deserves to be killed. This is a punishment for a person, if it's a woman or a man in the Muslim world, in Taliban or anywhere around the world, even in America. Do we have Muslim men killed their own children in America because they modernized, they took the hijab off, or they choose to fall in love with a Christian man to marry to? Yes, indeed. It is Sharia. Now, let me give you the reference of that in the Quran and in the Hadith. Because as I always say, Brother Fadi, if some Muslim come up with law and say this is Sharia, but they do not have proof from the words of Allah, the Quran, or the saying of Muhammad in the Hadith, then I'm going to say these people are just a bunch of extremists, radical, sick, not cases. They're not Muslims. They're just making it up. So listen to this. Quran chapter 6 and verse 151. Allah said, and do not kill the soul which Allah forbids except for a just cause. Excuse me, what? Do not kill the soul which Allah forbids. Are you trying to tell me that in Islam this soul is forbidden to be killed and soul it is okay to kill? Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I'll prove it in a minute here. The same verse is repeated in 1733 and Quran 25 and verse 68. So the Muslim soul, it is the only soul which Allah forbids to be killed, but because every other soul, it's okay to kill. Now, there must be a just cause which leads the Muslim mufti, the Muslim Sharia court, to kill the Muslim person. One of the following three. And I'm quoting you the words of Prophet Muhammad, the self-proclaimed Prophet of Islam, in Sahih Bukhari, volume 9, hadith number 17. Sahih Bukhari, volume 9, hadith number 17. Muhammad said, the blood of a Muslim cannot be shed except in three cases: murder, adultery, and the one who became an apostate leaves from Islam. You leave Islam, you're dead. Your blood must be shed. Wow. Where is women right? Trust me, my friends, you can take my clothes, you can take my food, you can take my education, you can take anything out of me, but when I lose my freedom of worship, my freedom of religion, I lost everything. The most important thing to me is to be free to worship whomever, however I wish or I desire. This is a big problem in the Muslim world. You leave Islam, your blood must be shed. And if Muslim cannot give or guarantee freedom for their people to worship whomever they wish, I care less what else freedom you give them. This is just one problem in the Muslim world. And sadly, this is what will be practiced in America legally as Muslims continue to grow and have the upper hand. For this is the future of Islam in America. They will have the upper hand someday. They don't stop growing in number. They will continue to grow, and they will have the upper hand, and they will practice Sharia. If we, the Christian of America, do not wise up, educate ourselves, let us love the Muslim people, let's love them right. I don't want you to love them for eternity in hell. No, love them for Jesus, love them for heaven. Educate yourself about Islam, share the gospel with Muslims, and lead them to Christ. What a great opportunity. You know, Brother Fadi, if we in America have practiced the Great Commission, which is to share the gospel, not with the people of the world, but only with the Muslims who come to America. In the last 50 years, they've been coming to America now for 50 some years. If the church in America were educated about Islam, the danger of Islam, and they truly love the Muslim people who were coming to this country for the last 50 years, and we start sharing the gospel with them as we go to the airport, welcome them, bring them to our homes, and feed them and take care of their physical need in Jesus' name. I have no problem to do good work to the Muslims. But the Bible did not say just a glass of water. He said a glass of water in my name. You have to do it right. Otherwise, you're wasting everything you're spending on these Muslims. It has to be done right. If we truly share the gospel with the Muslim people in the last 50 years and we start leading them to Christ, trust me, there will not be one embassy in the Muslim world where you see some Muslim man or woman going there to come to America, because their family will stop them from coming to America, because they will know for sure if they come to America, they will become a Christian. And that is a no-no in Islam, because then they have to send somebody to kill them. You see how we got it wrong in the last 50 years? We may think we love the Muslim people, but if you don't love them for Jesus, for heaven, then you love them for hell. And I don't want to have anything to do with that.
Exactly, brother. Exactly. That's what I tell people. If you tell me you love the Muslim, but you are concerned about their feelings, and that's why you don't want to share with them, or you don't know how to do it, and you're waiting for the right moment, it's almost like you said, loving him all the way to hell, because you can't control how long they're going to live, and this is their only opportunity to hear the gospel. Now, if you feel like you're not ready to do it, at least bring someone else or introduce them to it through someone else or through other means, because God brought them to your path for a reason. Indeed. Thank you, brother, for this, and we would have you back again and continue these wonderful discussions, and I would like to start doing more briefings with you about whether Afghanistan or other developments in the region related to Islam, Sharia, terrorism, and anything else that is affiliated with those kind of concepts.
Absolutely. It will be my joy. You just give me a call and I'll be with you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here with us. We appreciate you. There is a request here to do a live stream with Jay. I will be doing a live stream with Jay. And, you know, every speaker and every guest that I bring has his and her capabilities and their backgrounds. And of course, Usama has a very unique background. So we will be doing more shows with others as well. Thank you, brother. Thank you, everyone, for being here. This is Al Fadi over and out. God bless. Take care.